Morning, everybody. Happy Friday. And we are going to start in just a few minutes. We are going to go through genetics today and a little bit of heredity. And so give me just a second. You guys go get your notes. And you have two different versions of notes today that you can pick from based on whichever one you feel is better for you. You have notes 1 or notes 2. If you are looking at them, notes 2 is going to have a lot more filled in already, and notes 1 is not. It's going to be a little bit more open to where you can customize that as you would like. Let me share that with you quickly. Let's do this. This is notes 2. Okay, so you're going to notice that there are more filled in for you. Okay, we're going to do doodle notes today. And then here is notes 1, and this one has less in it. So, you take it and you pick which one that works best for you, and that's what we will go with. All right, let's start this morning. And today is April 29th, and you are in Biology 1. All right, on the agenda today, we are going to be doing doodle notes on heredity and genetics. After we're done with our doodle notes, you guys are going to watch a video on your own. The Amoeba Sisters, love the Amoeba Sisters. You will find that video recap in your Google Classroom. You want to fill that in and send that back to me. I will be grading that. And also, by the end of the day, make sure you go into your vocabulary account. We're going to be doing genes and heredity today, okay? If you need help or questions, make sure that you let me know. Okay, so everybody has their Google Notes, their Doodle Notes in front of them, and let's start looking at heredity. All right, got our tiger up here, right? So there's this old saying, that no two tiger stripes are the same. Well, that is in fact correct. And the reason that that is correct is because of genetic variation. And so we're going to talk about genes, we're going to talk about heredity, and we're going to talk about how his stripes are not like anybody else's stripes. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and let all this fill in so you can be writing it while I'm typing. Right, so we say that heredity is the study of genetics, and what happens is you pass your traits from one parent to the offspring. Okay, so in our tiger, for example, he can have wide stripes, he can have narrow stripes, he can have black stripes, he can have the orange stripes. It just depends on what his parents are giving to him, okay? Kind of like in kids, we can have blue eyes, green eyes, gray eyes, hazel eyes, brown eyes, lots of different colored eyes. So depending on which traits your parents pass on to you is which traits that you get inherited, okay? Now, how are these traits determined? So let me go through and click these and get them on there for you so you can be writing it in. Now remember, if you do not catch everything while we're doing this, this is recorded and you can go back and I will put the PowerPoint in your Google Classroom and I will also have the recording in the Google Classroom so you can watch it again should you need to. All right, inside each nucleus, we have chromosomes. These chromosomes are going to come in pairs, all right? So you typically are going to have 2 from each parent, 2 chromosomes, 1 from each parent. So there are some situations where you would not have 2 chromosomes in there, and those are bad, and that's when we get genetic disorders. But normally, everything as it goes and how it's supposed to happen, you are going to end up with 2 copies of each chromosome. One is going to come from mom, and one is going to come from dad. Our DNA, which is your genetic information, okay, that is going to be inside the chromosomes. And the DNA is the little spiral helix there. And if you'll notice on the spiral helix, I put my mouse over here, each of these little rungs is different colors and it's a different combination. That is your traits right there. And your genes are going to give your DNA the proteins, and which are your instructions, how to make which trait that we're going to have. When we talk about the tiger, let's go ahead and get him on here. Okay. All right, here we go. So the tiger's DNA produces different proteins, and those proteins are going to determine the width of the tiger stripes. So you got your chromosomes here, you got your DNA. Inside the DNA is your genes, and the genes are producing these proteins, and then you're going to get your trait. Nice little trait there. And everybody's genes are different. Even if your siblings may look alike, your genes are slightly different. Now, if you are a twin and you are an identical twin, where one sperm and one egg came together and fertilized, one egg got fertilized by one sperm, and that egg split in half, well, those are identical, then you're going to have the exact same DNA. Okay, so we've got alleles here. There's a lot of vocabulary. You're going to have to make sure you understand these terms, okay? So your individuals, you're going to get 2 forms of each gene, right? And the different variations are known as alleles. And these are going to be in uppercase and lowercase letters. So if you're looking over here to the side, we've got our pink one, which doesn't represent anything particular right now, but in regular DNA it would. So this is a big A, little a, that's going to match up. Big B, big C, little c, you got big D, little d, and they all match up together. So this set came from mom, this set came from dad. Truthfully, we don't know which set came from which unless you do the genetic makeup of mom and genetic makeup of dad and then see what the genetic makeup of the child is. But we just assume that one comes from mom and one comes from dad. All right. So we've got some more vocabulary here. We've got dominant versus recessive. Now, this is going to have really big importance when determining which trait is actually shown, okay? So alleles can either be dominant or they can be recessive. And we're going to go through and do dominant first. So the dominant allele is always going to be expressed as a capital letter, okay? And if the dominant allele is there, you are going to see it. So let's say the dominant allele is brown eyes. Well, if you have the dominant allele, you're going to have brown eyes, okay? Dominant is always expressed. That's why it's called dominant. Other option is a recessive allele, and this is only expressed if you have 2 copies of that one. So it would have to be like little a, okay? An example of that is going to be our lowercase a right there. So they are recessive, lowercase letters. Now, here's where this gets really important. So we're going to check for your understanding. So you give me some feedback here, okay? And you may want to be writing this down. So we're going to go through this little word problem here because that's what genetics is. It's really kind of like doing word problems like you do in math. So a black coat is going to be capital B, is going to be dominant to brown coat. The brown coat is going to be lowercase b in cats. Therefore, a cat only needs to inherit one big B in order for it to have a black coat. If the cat is going to have a brown coat, it is going to need to have little b, okay? So let's look down here. We're going to pull up some cats here. So your first cat down there has big B, big B. Now, big B is dominant. And which color is dominant? Yes, that's correct. Black is dominant. So our first cat right here with big B, what color is it going to be? Black. You are correct. Now our next one here, it has both. It has a big B and a little b. So which one is it going to be? Yes, that is correct. It is going to be black because the big B is there. Now here's the game changer right there. This guy doesn't have a big B, does he? So he only has 2 little b's. Well, that means he's going to be, yep, he's going to be brown, okay? And we're going to talk about these letters in a minute and what they mean when they're together. Okay, genotype versus phenotype. So genotype is, again, this is more vocabulary. You're just going to have to keep up with the different vocabulary words that we're introducing here. So your genotype is the genes you have. That's your DNA. What were you given? Your phenotype is your physical appearance. So let's dive into these. Okay. Click on that. All right, genotype, genetic makeup. These are the alleles. Did you get big B? Did you get big B, big B? Did you get big B, little b? Did you get little b, little b? Okay, those are your genotypes. Now your phenotypes. Oh, we're going to do an example here. Here we go. Big B, big B, big B, and little b, little b. So big B, that means you've got 2 dominant, big B, little b, you've got a dominant and a recessive, little b, you've got 2 recessives. Okay. Your phenotypes. This is going to be what's observed. This is going to be what we see, okay? So these are like eye color is a phenotype. Eye color would be blue eyes. That's a phenotype. Green eyes is a phenotype. You don't know if it's big B, or if it's little b, but you would know which color you see, okay? So, for example, with eye color, blue or brown. That's it. Your phenotype is how you look. The genotype is which letters you specifically have. Remember, the letters are the alleles that tells what your genetic makeup is. Right now, you got to learn a few other words here. So we're going to do homozygous and heterozygous. So homozygous is going to mean the same. Okay, heterozygous is going to mean different. The zygous part of the word refers to the cell. Okay, so homo and hetero. So if you inherit two of the same alleles, we call that homozygous, which means it's exactly the same. If you inherit two alleles that are different, we call that heterozygous, or hybrid, meaning they are not different. So let's look down here and let you guys try it, okay? So it says that we are going to color, and you've got your notes in front of you, your doodle notes. So we are going to color the homozygous ones green, and we are going to color the heterozygous ones orange, okay? So these right here, these are our alleles down here, allele combinations, all right? So let's look at the first one. This one is capital C, capital C. Is that going to be homozygous or heterozygous? That's correct. That is going to be homozygous. So we are going to color that one green. Big E, little e. Is that one going to be homozygous or heterozygous? Heterozygous, and hetero means different. So we're going to color that one orange. And big G, little g. Yep, that's heterozygous again. D, little d, little d. That is going to be homozygous. Capital A, capital A. Yep, that is also homozygous, and one more heterozygous down there, okay? All right, guys, so if you, let's quit sharing and bring myself back. Okay, so you've got your notes. If you did not get all of the information written in, that's fine. Just go back in and do that when you get done with the live lesson. Don't forget to watch the Amoeba Sisters. They're going to do a really good job of explaining it as well. And so I can see what you've learned, go through and do that vocabulary today. And if you need help with the vocabulary, let me know. If it doesn't work out like you thought it was going to work out, let me know. Maybe we can reset. Yeah, so have a fabulous day, and make sure you email me and let me know if you have any more questions. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.